It is 8:39. Early voting in the Texas primary begins in about 5 weeks. Democrats will select one of 9 candidates to challenge Governor Greg Abbott. In this edition of Texas This Week, we sit down with one of the 9, Andrew White.
I'm Andrew White, and I'm running for governor.
Houston entrepreneur Andrew White wants to return to the Austin home he lived in for 4 years. The governor's mansion.
We need more leaders like Mark White.
Andrew's father was the governor of Texas from 1983 until 1987, most widely known for education reforms, including no pass, no play. Hello, Mr. White.
Hey, how are you?
We sat down with White to learn more about him and his platform. Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and why you want to be the next governor of Texas.
Sure. I've never considered myself as a politician. I've been an entrepreneur, started companies my whole life for 20 years. But my father passed away 5 months ago, and at his funeral, hundreds of people came up to me and told me about how when he was governor in the 80s, he made the hard decisions to benefit our state. And it was an emotional time, and I heard about no pass, no play. I heard about teacher salaries and lower class sizes, and one person even said how the seatbelt law saved his life. And at the exact same time as my father's funeral, in Austin, our governor had called a special session essentially for a bathroom bill and a tree ordinance plan. And I realized that our state leaders aren't focusing on the things that matter, like education and health care. And so I'm running to bring sanity and reason back to state government so that Texans can have hope again. I believe that Texas can do better.
Because you lack political experience, do you feel it's a little ambitious for your first run at this to be for governor?
Well, we need someone who can win, and I can beat Greg Abbott in November. I've got 20 years experience building businesses. I know how to create jobs. I know how to tackle complex problems, and I know how to build consensus over difficult issues. And these are traits that a governor needs to have. We need a governor who is a uniter, not a divider. We need someone who's willing to work with people on both sides of the issue to make progress. Those are the same traits that I had as a business leader, and those will be the same traits I'll have as a governor.
Governor Greg Abbott has a very large war chest. He also is seen quite favorably given his response to Hurricane Harvey. So why do you feel now is the time to take him on?
Well, let me answer a couple of those questions. First of all, the war chest. As an entrepreneur, I'm not intimidated by people who have more money than I do. It motivates me. I've always been scrappy. I've always competed against multi-billion-dollar companies and done well. And so I realize that when it comes to raising money, this is sort of a David and Goliath type situation where I'm outgunned and outnumbered. But remember, David won. And so I'm focused on this, and we will get the money that we need raised to put up a competitive race. About his approval rating in Harvey, I live in Houston, and I have a small boat, and it just so happened that I had brought my boat in from the bay, and it was in my garage. The storm happened, and I got a phone call first thing in the morning from the police asking if they could use the boat. I then spent 5 days in the water all around Houston rescuing people, and that was only a few days after my father's funeral. And so the thought about running for governor started at my father's funeral, and then Harvey happened, and the experience of being in the water, working hand in hand with the police officers and firefighters and just citizens around the state was really overwhelming, and it changed me forever. And after that, when I saw what was happening in our capital with Abbott and Patrick and the extremism that's happening in our state, where they're focused on bathroom bills and tree ordinances, not education and health care, I realized it was time for me to step up.
What are your thoughts on the recovery of Harvey in Houston?
A lot more needs to happen, and it needs to happen faster. I realize that if you live in Dallas or North Texas or West Texas, you may not understand what's really happening in Houston and in Beaumont and Port Arthur and the whole Gulf Coast. But there's still 10,000 people living in hotels, and it's been months. You would think that a Republican governor working with a Republican president with a Republican-controlled Congress, we could make things happen faster. These are our own people. So I have a problem with that. I also have a problem with this rainy day fund that we have. We've got $10 billion of our own money saved up for a rainy day, and our governor won't tap it. So he calls a special session, an emergency special session for a bathroom bill and a tree ordinance, but he will not call an emergency special session to deal with Hurricane Harvey. And that, to me, doesn't make any sense at all. And so I'm upset with that, and there's still a lot of work needs to be done. But I will say this, on a personal level, if you could have seen the people of Texas respond to that emergency, it would have given you chills. You would have cried like I cried. It was amazing to see people working. They did everything they could do. If you could drive, you were a driver. If you were in medicine, you were helping people with medical issues. If you had a boat, you were in your boat.
But before White can face off with Governor Greg Abbott, he will have to win the Democratic primary, facing 8 challengers, including former Dallas County Sheriff Lupe Valdez, who's been seen on the national stage. When Texas This Week continues, we discuss the road ahead.